Hi guys, hello, me to everybody. It's MicheleMarieDalene. I wanted to take some time to answer a question that sometimes comes up when people that are using XLR microphones and they want to know how to connect it to their computers. Like the Mac Mini, which uses this little itty bitty TRRS plug. The same kind of plug as on a pair of headset with a boom mic. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about explaining how this connector can be dealt with things that use this connector. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk very briefly about phantom power and how to interconnect all this stuff together. First of all, the simplest one. I've shown this on the show many times before. This is an iRig Pre. This lets you hook up a single microphone, XLR microphone, with and without phantom power to your computer. Uses a standard 9-volt battery inside to run it. And it just plugs in. And this one here also has a stereo TRS jack on this as well. So if you have your favorite Walkman headphones, they'll plug right in here as well, so that you can actually listen to the signal. Of course, your software has to send the signal back. It doesn't automatically assume that for you, okay? But this will actually let you hear what's going on. Now, using it's actually pretty simple. You take, in this case, this condenser microphone here, plugs into the end. I know, it looks like something, like some kind of medieval torture device. Slide the switch to 48-volt phantom power, so the red and green lights are on at the same time. Now, there is a gain switch I have covered with a piece of tape, because originally I had set for my dynamic microphone and I didn't want to have it be bumped in the spur of the moment. So right now, if I actually was transmit on this thing would be too hot and it would sound terrible. So you would have to adjust it for condenser microphones. The other thing is seriously, the other problem with this microphone is, because it is a condenser microphone, they don't need as much gain, so you gotta turn it down. Okay? But at the same time, we're using this on phantom power. It is going to seriously deplete that 9-volt battery in about 8 hours. So you might want to consider a dynamic microphone. Dynamic microphones include this. This is a Shure SM57. Can also include PG58, PG40, 38, 48, and of course, the 58 is the professional one, which doesn't have a switch. The 57 is technically a vocal microphone. This is SM57, but it works fine. Yes, this is a windscreen being held in place so it doesn't fly off. Something a little more fancy, but still useful, is this. This is made by Pile. This is a micro mixer. It's called a PADISMXU powered USB audio mixer, built-in echo effect. That's all it has, is an echo effect. Okay? But this is a fairly simple device, and I'm going to explain how this works. You plug your microphone. It can be a TRRS plug, or it can be an XLR. Okay, it's one of those hybrid fancy connectors you see. Okay, when it looks like the letter T with a hole in the center, so it uses both plugs. And already it's providing phantom power, but according to the manual, it only provides 18 volts. Now, it turns out that my condenser microphone, this big giant thingy, provides phantom power also. And it you can run at 18 volts to 48 volts. Okay? So, plugging this in is pretty simple. Just plugs in like that. And then I can set the microphone gain levels like this. Let's play with this at a time. Now, unlike my Behringer Q1202 USB, it doesn't actually have VU meters on it, so it's just like an old reel-to-reel tape recorder. It has a little level here. It's the peak indicator here. You can see when a hard dynamic speech, hard or soft won't get it going really, but hard speech will. Okay. So you want these lights here to be showing some action, and you can listen using your stereo headphones right in here. It also provides for a microphone, a computer microphone, that will plug in here as well. Outputs are analog and USB port. The USB port is also used for charging, so you can actually keep the thing charged up at the same time. Case is made out of metal, and for what it is, what I paid for it, it's not a bad deal, really. And so at least it has an analog input for at least one line level source, whereas this is only for microphone and a mono XLR balanced line level input. How do you use balanced line level input? Simple. Keep the switch in the off position. And then you can plug in a line level source into this. But the thing I find is the most funny and the most interesting about this little box is this is a very simple mixer. And if you have something like a MacBook or even a PC laptop, and when you want to plug in more fancy microphones than the generic headsets, this is the way to go. Okay? The difference is it doesn't have a direct connection to connect into a microphone jack. In other words, it's going to produce line level outputs right here or USB outputs. What gets confusing is when you see line in and 2-track. What's 2-track do? This also has Bluetooth. Okay, so yeah, it's a little more confusion to this mix. Line in is obviously like if you want to play like a record and you want to DJ it. This is fine for like simple things. When you have one line level input you want to do. It sounds cute, and it is cute, but unfortunately, for my applications, I sometimes do, this cute factor isn't going to cut it for me. Okay? Which brings us to the biggest mixer that we use, the Behringer Q1202 USB, which is actually not the biggest, but it's certainly enough inputs. It has 4 XLR microphone inputs and 6 stereo inputs. Okay. 4 inputs stereo. Okay, so but they're stereo, so there's actually 2 channels. Thus the 12, meaning 12 channels, and the 2 referring to the total number of channels on the mixer, or buses. I've shown my mixer a lot on the channel. You know it works. You know I'm using it right now. So, I would say that if you were looking for something inexpensive to let you use your condenser microphones, unless they're USB based, if they're USB based, you don't need this stuff. If they are if they are USB, just plug it into your computer connection and go to town, and you'll be all set to go. So one of the things I like about all these mixers is, like I said, I bought this for the MacBook. I intended it to be something small. I wanted something that was light, and I wanted something that I could carry with me. It also can be used with my Android phone as well, thus allowing me to plug in a turntable, a cassette recorder, CD player, radio into the line in, and then theoretically, as I understand it, I should be able to mix the sound out to my headphones so I can monitor myself. And obviously, line out can also go to a set of speakers. This also has Bluetooth, which is kind of funny because the Bluetooth isn't really talked much about. So let's talk about what that Bluetooth is for. Bluetooth is specifically for playback only. It cannot import audio. It can get audio from Bluetooth, but it can't stream to Bluetooth. However, if you are gung-ho trying to stream to Bluetooth, well, there's other adapters for that on the market that you can use to do it. One of them happens to be the one that I do use once in a while on the show, which I don't know where it is right now, but it is basically a Bluetooth and receiver and transmitter. The transmitter means I could take an analog source and I can plug it in and it will transmit to Bluetooth to, say, a pair of headphones. Conversely, also I can take a Bluetooth source and transmit it to an analog output. But it does nothing for microphones. And so, yeah, if you're going to use microphones with it, you're out of the game. Okay? Sorry, show. Microphones ain't gonna cut it for you. So what do you get with this pile? Well, besides the mixer itself, and the instruction book, and I believe a sticker, and a piece of sticky tape. Also rubber feet. So yes, you got little rubber feet to go with it too. Okay? You get the USB-A, the 2.0 cable. You have a charger. I threw in an extra pair of 3.5 RCA plugs in my box too, so I can find these connections. So at least I can know I can set up for a show or whatever in a hurry. And if you use them with power speakers, you don't even need to use a computer with it. That could be great if you want to entertain a party. A little croaky, anybody? Yep, here you go. For cell phones, or for people who don't want a lot of extra crap on their computer, this is going to do for you. this, by the way, by default, it doesn't come with a sticker on it saying gain. That I added later on, but this basically is your knob right here to touch your gain. So you might want to turn it down a bit when using the other kind of plug. And let's see what else I got here. So the switch is recessed. So theoretically speaking, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you're not sure, always start by setting the switch in the lower setting when you're plugging it into your computer. And slowly turn it up. But remember, because in the Phantom Power, this thing is going to go through batteries in about 9 hours. You're going to want to keep a couple extra 9-volt batteries on hand. This will do the job just fine. You don't need any fancy stuff to make this work. So, believe in the kid's philosophy, keep it simple, stupid, and that is exactly what it is. And it's simple. And it doesn't take a lot of work to set it up at all. Okay? So, now some of you might say, what about these headphones here, like these? Well, first thing wrong with these is, in most cases, the microphone profile only works in very few and very specific applications, which one of them is for telephone calls, which means they're not going to work for monitoring your sound, but they will work for taking the phone calls. That's a different profile than the stereo profile, okay? So be aware of that. It's going to be different. But wire connection like this, and then just become a pair of regular stereo headphones that you can use for the show. And that's what we use them here for. Pretty simple. USB cables come in different flavors. But if it's a USB-A cable, either standard USB 1.1, 2.0, or even USB 3, USB 3.1, you'll be all set. Just plug it in and it should work. Unless it specifically requires a certain level of USB, such as USB 3.0. But that's it. It's really all you need to know. So, when I was setting up my setup, I could have gone with either one of the two choices. I plugged in my Behringer Q1202 USB in via USB mode, and I plugged in an external adapter to allow me to pull the sound from the computer and send it via USB and send it out by analog, because it turned out the built-in system was a little bit noisy and caused a whining effect. This actually provided isolation and gave the ability for the computer to give a bit better sound. And so therefore, for that reason, you will definitely want to consider that. Also, the Behringer Q1202 USB, for example, the gain and USB mode is the output volume is lower than in analog mode. So you have two choices. One, you can turn up the gain or the output volume on all your devices, but that means that if you're streaming also using analog, say a stereo studio monitors or a party, you're gonna have sound that's gonna be clipping and hot, and nobody's gonna love it. So I do is I leave it set for standard analog, and then I just boost the gain just a little bit to overcome the limitations of the USB codec. Some of these codecs do allow can fine tuning adjustments on levels, or if you're doing post production, you can do it yourself in software. After all, it's just ones and zeros, right? So it's easier to boost that or cut that in software. So you take a look at that. But no matter what you do, no matter how you do it, definitely you want to find a system for you that works. Maybe using a Behringer, something like a Behringer Q1202 USB, or the Pile, or the iRig Pre. Each one has its advantages and disadvantages. The iRig Pre is small, there's only a single channel, and it's mono. Okay? The Pile is bigger, supports a microphone and one analog input channel, and Bluetooth input channel, so you can play your favorite Bluetooth music as well. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you can try it out. And it's like, I got it on sale for like $27. But if I was to go back and buy a mixer again, I would get some like the Behringer Q803 or 802 USB, or the Behringer 502 USB. But the problem is that requires mains power. So if you want something that runs on battery and still provides an XLR input, their choices are limited. At least with the Pile, it does have rechargeable lithium ion, so it will run and also will get power from the USB port when you're streaming to the USB port anyway. So which means it's just a one source plug and play option. Not a bad deal at all. Take a look into it. And that will be a good way to get some basic sound reinforcement on a budget. That's the key when you're starting out. Because, well, it costs money. So the more money you save, but don't get too cheap where you buy garbage. And then you end up basically wondering why things are all broken. Go too cheap, and yeah, you're gonna have problems too. Well, anyway, guys, that's it for now. Hope it helps you in your journey. Bye bye.